Everybody. I hope you're enjoying this beautiful sunny day. So, let me introduce myself. Actually, I would like to say today our topic is IVF with amazing acupuncturist Paige. Paige is here. Yay! Hi, Paige. Welcome. Paige, join in. What happened there? Okay, go live with Paige. I'm just going to. Okay, here she
Hello.
is. Hello, here you are. Thank you so
Yes,
much
I
for
made it.
being here, Paige. Welcome. Yeah.
Thank you for
So
inviting me.
yeah, no, it's been, I've been wanting to invite you for a long time, and then you became our member. I'm like, yay,
Oh,
amazing.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was just introducing myself. So I am women's health movement coach, nutrition counselor, and as well as the founder of this platform. All right. And now, would you like to introduce yourself, or you would like me to read it, your
Oh,
bio?
I hadn't planned that, but if you have the bio to read, that would be amazing.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to read it out. It's really short and sweet. So, Paige is a fertility detective, fertility acupuncturist, mother of two beautiful girls, and wife to a chef. She was born on the Gold Coast and while loved to travel, but she hasn't found a reason to move from here yet. Okay, and she has spent 10 years in sleep and respiratory. How do I say it? Respiratory
Respiratory.
respiratory
Yep.
medicine before finishing a master degree in acupuncture. She started supporting fertility and IVF when she opened a clinic next to an IVF clinic. She then became personally interested in fertility when her husband and herself struggled with their own fertility challenges. And she can't imagine doing anything else after that, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, amazing, Paige. Thank you so much for being here and welcome. And before we start, I just wanted to read out this disclaimer
Sure.
that this topic is all about bringing awareness and education around in our, community around IVF, but not a specific advice to anybody. So if you are thinking to explore IVF or you know needing another support or anything else, please reach out to Paige directly or reach out to your healthcare practitioner.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So,
Sure.
hi, Belinda. Hi, Benju. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you can hear us, please give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Yeah. We have Sydney Pelvic Clinic here too. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. So, and everyone has an option to put their question in a comment section. All right. And so Paige will, answer
Yes.
it directly. Right. So, okay, let's start. Are you ready?
Yes. Let's go.
Okay. All right. So, how does the acupuncture support women undergoing IVF treatment?
Oh, a really great question. And obviously that's what we're here talking about. I think I
Yes.
separated the answer into two of pre-IVF preparation and then during an IVF cycle. So before IVF, acupuncture can do a lot more around individual diagnosis, being able to diagnose from a Chinese medicine point of view and underlying health conditions and treating those. So
Mhm.
as in like a pre-cycle preparation for IVF. So
Okay.
all of the research points to 3 months it takes to improve egg quality and up to 180 days to improve sperm quality. So we have this really beautiful time in that time before that we can do all of that. But just the way that it sort of works is that I would say most people find out about acupuncture for helping with IVF is within a stimulated IVF cycle because there's a brochure at the clinic or they're talking
Mm.
to a friend who's like, I did this. And so oftentimes it cannot start until someone's already in the middle of a stimulated cycle. And so acupuncture focus in that time is more around improving blood flow and medication delivery
Mm.
to the ovaries, supporting blood flow to the
Yeah.
lining, warming the pelvis, helping us,
Mm-hmm.
especially with anxiety and stress around the entire process, because it's just so much. I think some research was done recently where they showed that adding an IVF cycle to your life added the equivalent of a part-time job. So by the time you're doing
Wow.
scans and appointments and, going to the, taking time off work, it's just a lot. So from a stress management point of view, acupuncture can do a lot in that way as well.
Yeah. So I just wanted to say that your internet is breaking up every now and then.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm not too sure if we can move a little bit somewhere. I don't know. So, but
Uh,
anyway, yeah, at the moment I can hear you okay.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see how we go.
Yes. So you mentioned that IVF can be like a part-time job. You're frozen again. Yeah.
I was just seeing
Oh,
if I could fix anything with that. No.
okay.
Yeah, in terms of acupuncture and supporting IVF, but it also, I use it for, like within the cycle itself, quite a particular protocol where we have specific treatment aims from the start of stimulation to egg collection. And then I
Mhm.
do a specific treatment the day after egg collection for supporting the collection and the inflammation and the fluid accumulation, getting bowels working again so we can eliminate a lot of the toxins from doing all the injections. And then I have a specific protocol on the day of transfer where we do an appointment immediately before and immediately after transfer. And then
Mm.
we look at doing an implantation appointment that supports after we know an embryo should have implanted, and we can support that process from there as well.
Oh wow, it's so much, so many steps to remember. So, do
Yeah.
you work side by side with the IVF practitioners? So
Yeah, not so much because and not that that wouldn't be a good thing, but I feel like they kind of have their plan and they have them on their medication plan, and then I can work in with that. I don't necessarily
Okay.
need to have direct communication in that way because the clients send me their plan at the beginning of their cycle, and then we fit in appointments around what we know is going to happen because we have all of that information at the beginning.
Oh,
And we can have a bit of a guess. So, like egg collection can be out depending on the scan and what's happening with their follicles. That can move a day or two or a few days out from the plan. But yeah, we can work with the plan very easily. Yeah.
so they just wanted to ask if people doesn't
Mm.
know about the egg plantation. What does that mean? Implantation?
The implantation. Oh yeah. So after for a fresh cycle. So if you're doing a stimulated IVF cycle, you're having eggs collected, fertilized, and 5 days after they've been fertilized, that we're looking at implanting, like transferring an embryo.
Hmm.
We expect that embryo, a day 5 blastocyst, to implant about 72 hours after transfer. And so
Hmm.
I see women after that 72 hours where we expect that an embryo has implanted. And Chinese medicine has some really beautiful treatments where we can support a pregnancy before it's even occurred in terms of supporting the body to
Oh,
hold. We technically, they're called threatened miscarriage treatments, where we are doing what we
mm.
can to prevent a reason why the body may
Yes.
not hold and support that embryo. And then
Yeah.
those treatments continue for the first trimester. So I would do those treatments from implantation all the way up to 12 weeks.
Yes. So, in my basic knowledge, what I understood
Mm,
is implantation means it helps your body to hold the pregnancy. Is that correct?
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I got it.
Good.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for simplifying it because at first when I read the implantation, I'm like, oh, I wonder what that is, because if
Totally.
someone
Well,
knew,
an
yeah.
embryo has to implant to work, right? So it has to implant into the uterus. And it's actually
Mhm.
it's a really interesting process because it's quite aggressive in terms of what happens when an embryo implants. There's an
Mhm.
immediate change to the endometrium. There's blood vessels have to be grown straight away. There's like a really deep infiltration of blood vessels into the uterine lining. And
Mm.
so it's a huge area of research in terms of looking at, especially when IVF doesn't work, what else can be done
Mm.
at that point. And it's a really fine balance between having enough inflammation but not having too much inflammation, because
Oh.
having the right blood flow, because if there's little blood clots that form, an embryo won't be able to implant. If there's any adenomyosis where the embryo has gone to implant, that would affect the way that it would be able to implant. Immune system function around the embryo when it implants could affect that. But when we're talking about those sorts of things, we can't necessarily fix those in a stimulated fresh cycle. Those are things that need to be addressed and treated before going through the stimulated cycle.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So much things
So
to
much.
unpack. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But at least we're talking about it, and then people will know some information from here. And
Yeah.
so when is the best time to start acupuncture? Like you already mentioned, I think it's supposed to start before the cycle, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I mean, this is the thing I often talk to women about, like preparing for IVF is a little bit like training for a marathon. So like you
Mm,
wouldn't turn up on the day of a 42-kilometer, run without being
yes.
prepared. And I think we forget about that with IVF. And especially because the really hard thing is most women and families, and I really want to include partners because they get left out a lot in IVF.
Yes. Yes.
But like they've usually gone through a lot of infertility before then. IVF usually isn't the first thing that families are doing to try and have children. That they usually have gone through quite a lot before then. But if it's not specific to what's going on for them, it's not doing that much to support their process either. But that's a lot of where I do a lot of education. So heaps of education around what you can do at home, because having acupuncture once a week or twice a week even isn't as effective if you're not doing the things at home as well. Like we address all the, endocrine disrupting hormones, diet, lifestyle, exercise. There's huge misconceptions around what sort of
Yeah.
exercise
Okay.
we should be
Fantastic.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So you start again. It was better, and you start cutting out again.
Oh, stop. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm on
Yeah.
Wi-Fi here, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. All right. We continue from there. So it is like preparing yourself for the big marathon, not
Yeah.
just immediately. We can imagine effect,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So can acupuncture improve the success rate of IVF or help with the implantation? We've already touched all of this, but I think we will just go through that again.
Yeah.
So what's the
Well, I
success
liked this
rate?
question too because I mean it's from a research point of view, and I did a review of the research before we had this chat because it's really interesting because early 2000 there was heaps of positive research around acupuncture for embryo transfer, heaps, and then in the
Mm,
last 5 years or so there's been more research that hasn't reproduced that research again, and that has
mm,
shown mixed reviews for success. And it's really interesting because I've seen something similar in clinical practice that but I think a lot of things that are interesting that we're seeing happen is sperm health is declining at a rapid rate.
mm,
We're
okay.
all having children older, so there's that impact as well.
Yes.
And I'm just seeing a lot more complicated fertility issues that I think contributes to acupuncture alone, outside of
Mhm.
looking after underlying health concerns, is not enough. And it's the reason that I've just done a whole bunch of extra study on work on using biomedicine investigations and other areas so that we can combine all holistic aspects on supporting fertility, because it's a like infertility is a multi-system issue. It's not just a reproductive issue. We've got thyroid involvement, we've got gut health involvement, we've got microbiome involvement, and when we're just looking at
Mm,
IVF, we're only looking at the reproductive system.
yeah.
And there's heaps that can be done, heaps and heaps that can be done wherever you're at. But I think similar to the said to you that if IVF doesn't work, because I feel like there's this huge, when people do it at the end of their fertility experience, they're like, we'll do that last. We'll do everything else first and we'll do that last, which I totally understand. If it doesn't work, it's so much harder, right? Because that was the last. But when it doesn't work, one, it can be diagnostic. So your results in an IVF cycle can tell me what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And having space to then look at what else can be done, because there's heaps more that can be done and looked into and investigated before going through another cycle.
Yes. That reminded me of that. What is your thought around the egg freezing, and then people can embryo freezing and they can do that, and because as we are having babies later
Mm,
in life, and especially with women, if we are going towards the perimenopause or in the
mm,
perimenopause and trying to do the IVF cycle at the same time,
mm.
but how would that work with the egg freezing and the embryo freezing, and then Yeah, and the
It's a
acupuncture.
really, it's a really good option. The egg freezing is a really good option for women who haven't either met a partner that they'd like to have children with, or they're just not ready yet.
Mm,
The concern with egg freezing though is I don't, you need more eggs than you think that you need frozen. So I always
mm,
suggest to women you need up to 25 eggs. Like
mm,
25 eggs statistically gives you the chance of being able to have comfortably one child, possibly two. But I
yeah.
think the problem is seeing people going through egg freezing cycles and being happy with just having 4 or 5. And they could be amazing and they could work and that's awesome. But it's really disheartening to 10 years later go to fertilize them. So eggs don't
Mm,
freeze as well as embryos. You have a
yeah.
higher drop off rate of thawing with eggs alone than you do with an embryo. So it would
Oh,
always be preferable to freeze an embryo.
mm,
But if that's not an option, freezing eggs is completely fine. But yes, I suggest women going through enough cycles to get 20 to 25 eggs frozen.
So
Yeah.
if they're planning to have a baby later in life, so it's
Yeah.
better if you do it. When do you think, around what age do you think the people should think about, oh, maybe I should do the egg
Oh goodness.
freezing?
I mean, as young as possible if that's I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of egg freezing if because we can improve health and
Yes.
egg health
Yeah.
from any time, right? Like that does get harder after 35, but if someone's
Mm,
interested in looking after how the best way they can look after and preserve their egg quality, it would be doing all the healthy things, finding out what's going on from their immune system, their blood flow, their gut health, their microbiome, their general health, sorting all of that out
mm,
as early as possible and maintaining that would be the best way of supporting egg health for preserving for fertility.
mhm,
But there's lots of complicating cases of why that wouldn't be, and preference, of just wanting to freeze eggs. Amazing, we have that technology. But I mean, if it was something somebody was thinking of, 20, 25 would be an amazing time to freeze eggs. If and you're more
mhm.
likely from an IVF cycle to get more per cycle when you do it younger than if you're trying to freeze eggs at 35 or older.
Yeah, so I wanted to add something that my
Mm.
sister, she is coming towards her 30s, but she didn't want to have a kid yet. And I said, oh, you're not having the baby yet. And she said, but what she's doing is she's checking her egg, the health, taking care of her health. And every year she's checking how the egg production, what do you call,
Sure.
yeah.
Oh, the
So
AMH,
yeah,
a
I'm
blood
not too sure
test.
the term for it, but she's
Mm.
checking, the what is her body doing, and
Mm.
if what is the condition of her body to produce egg, or things like that. She's keeping
Totally.
an eye on. So that would be, I think, another really great idea to check your health every year. What your
Yeah.
situation, how is it going? I
Mm.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So as well as the taking care of your body and eating
Yeah.
healthy, eating well.
All of those things. Yeah.
Yes. So how do you tailor treatments for each woman's unique fertility journey?
So love that question. It's so cool with Chinese medicine because we get to like I've never ever treated exactly the same case for two women over 12 years. There's never been
Mhm.
exactly the same body reactions, outcomes. And so the cool thing is with Chinese medicine, but we get to take pulses to tell us what the body's doing. We get to actually
Mhm.
feel the body and be like, where is it cold? Where is it hot? Every person has an individualized Chinese medicine diagnosis, and so we use that. So I have quite a comprehensive like initial consultation, so that we really get that right at the beginning. And
Right.
it changes over treatment as well. Like IVF adds a lot of heat to systems. It
Mm.
um it increases liver energy and liver stagnation, changes blood flow. So we add a lot more kind of support in an IVF cycle from an acupuncture point of view when we're doing that. Um, because of the increased estrogen, we get increased swelling, we get increased abdominal fluid, and we need to kind of work on things about flushing all of that out as well. So everyone's response to IVF is different as well. So then I get to treat that based on their reactions as well. So whilst we're working on improving outcomes for the IVF cycle, we can also work individually at what symptoms are coming up as well. Some women get incredible headaches, which are awful.
Mm.
Some women just get really tired, and so we can work around like some self-care aspects and some treatment around supporting them individually. But then, like I said, if I'm seeing them before the start of the IVF cycle, that's when we get to do like more of the
The
individualized work
preparation.
then, because the treatment aim for every person going through IVF is the same, get the best outcome with IVF, right? That's our aim. But then we can just support all of the symptoms that come up as well.
Mm. So is it like, I'm just curious, is every
Mhm.
time when someone goes through IVF cycle, it's like your body is now, okay, I'm pregnant, now it's starting to produce all the, the hormones and all those, the effects that is similar to pregnancy thing. That is what
Can be
happens.
like after transfer, but
Mm.
before embryo transfer, the symptoms are more related to like the increased medication of the stimulation drug. So
Oh, yes.
yeah, so it's more those sorts of symptoms that because estrogen's risen excessively high with
Mm.
reason. We need the estrogen to be high to stimulate a number of eggs, but estrogen can be not, if your estrogen metabolism isn't good, you can actually be
Mm.
more inflammatory than supportive in some ways, even though we'll get the same outcome with the eggs, like
Mm.
in terms of number of eggs. But women who already have an inflammatory estrogen are going to get worse symptoms in their IVF cycle. So they're the women who are going to get more of the headaches, more of the bloating, more of the bowel changes. Like they're all going to happen a lot more for someone who's already got an issue with estrogen metabolism. So they're the women that
Mm.
we need a lot more support and
Mm.
treatment as well.
Okay, so it's it can be a bit invasive than the natural process, right?
Yeah,
Really.
for sure. Yeah.
But saying that, like you said, we have we can take care of it from the beginning of the
Mm.
process and then be ready for our 45-kilometer run
Totally.
at the
Totally. And I think
marathon,
that's the thing
right?
is because nobody really wants to do IVF, right? Like nobody's kind of like, no family's like, I can't wait to spend all that money and go through all of those injections
Mm.
and kind of do it. Like, no, but but at the same time, yeah, like it can be just used well and it can be used poorly. So there are some practices that IVF is being used poorly and not
Mm.
evidence-based practice, and that's an issue.
Yeah.
But it just when you pair it with the healthy things that you have control over that you can do, and we're
Yes.
using a more individualized approach, then I like, and IVF is amazing. But I also like we're so lucky that we live in a technology like where we have this amazing technology, but we're putting sperm and egg together and putting a day 5 embryo into uteruses, and it's still only 30 to 40% effective overall. Like the success rate of
Mm.
IVF is only 30 to 40%. So
Yes.
it's just not enough on its own if we're not looking at individual treatment options for families.
For families
And
as
sperm
well.
health. I'm so on this because it's really frustrating watching women go through all of this and male partners because the clinic has told them there's nothing wrong, that they do nothing.
Mm.
It's just, yeah, we have a major problem with sperm. We're going to have a continual problem with sperm if men and male partners don't start doing the healthy things that they need to do to support their
Yes,
partners in
yes.
falling pregnant.
So it
Yeah,
is the whole teamwork, right?
totally.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and if it works out, it's you're all going to have amazing family. But if not, then it is we lots of times we're putting, like you said at the beginning, that we're
Mm,
putting the male on a little bit offside, not
totally.
including them. Like when we are talking as well, it's all
Totally.
about women, women, women. But then when you
Mm,
put in there, well, we can't do without the
yeah. And
the
there's just more and
help.
more research talking about like the health of sperm at the time of conception and the health of a male at the time of conception has a significant impact on the health of a child. And
Mm,
so I know for most people, like, yes, a pregnancy and a child is the outcome, but I would say most people are interested in having healthy children too. And so
yes.
underlying health concerns that contribute to infertility do have an impact on pregnancy and then the health of a child. So there's definitely this aspect of the pre-month work is worth so much more to like your health in pregnancy, the growth of your child in pregnancy, and
Mm,
then their health and development when they're born. So, I'm hugely passionate about supporting women in that aspect and supporting the pregnancy and delivery of healthy children as we can have. And we have an ability to make those changes prior to falling pregnant
yes.
if we have the right information. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that you focus in not just having just implanting the healthy egg, but how we want the healthy babies as well,
Totally. Yeah.
and when we and then taking care of not only wife but as well as husband all coming together and working together. I love that.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you for
Definitely.
that focus. Yeah, amazing. So what happens when IVF fails?
Yeah, I think that this is such a good one to talk about because I feel like I said before, that people use it as a last resort, which I totally understand. And then when it doesn't work, it's kind of like, oh no, like the last resort didn't work. That must be that we can't have children. If
Mm,
IVF didn't work, that means that this is impossible for us. But a lot of things that I talk to women about is that there are 11 key steps to being able to fall pregnant, and IVF only supports 2 or 3 of those.
yeah.
So there are a bunch of other things that I then spend time going through with families about what areas have we not assessed, what areas do we need to know more about, what else do we need to know more about before we get you ready for another cycle. Because
Mm,
I feel like there can be a huge divide between natural medicine and IVF. Like natural
mm,
medicine not supporting IVF, whereas I see it completely like in terms of we can use it so well together if
yes.
we're using it right and tailored. So yeah, if IVF is not successful at some point and the doctor's like, we don't know why, let's just do this again, but changing nothing, I would recommend stopping, taking a break, having a chat to a health practitioner who's specialized in fertility and IVF, and going through everything and being like, where are we missing some information? Because there's no
Mm,
such thing as unexplained infertility. It is
yeah.
unexplored. And there is just so many tests that aren't done. There are so many investigations that aren't done within initial makeup, especially in low cost clinics. And we have access to these things. And
Oh,
I have access to these things. So I would encourage women and family to take a break, have a breather, plan something fun, and then be like, what is our next thing that we're doing and where is our focus going to be? But it's hard work too. So changing diet, changing lifestyle, changing, things that you're comfortable doing at the moment is hard. But,
mm,
those are the things that are needed for a healthy pregnancy.
yes. It needs to be changed if
Mm,
you want to change the outcome, right? We
totally.
can't keep doing the same thing again and again and hoping for this different outcome.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so and I love the approach that you were saying, how the health system and the natural health system, they
Oh,
both can
so cool.
and
Yeah.
focus towards the patient's the better outcome, right?
Mm, yeah, for sure.
Mm. Yeah, I love that because I think that if we all work together, I think that
Mm,
is when the magic happens because we might be missing something, and when we all work together, and I
mm.
think that might be just tiny piece of puzzle coming together.
Totally. Yeah, I agree.
Yes, thank you so much. If anyone has any question, please comment down below. And while we wait for the question page, please let
Yeah.
us know where we can find you. And I know your schedule is a little bit full, but we would love to hear where people can find
Sure.
you and contact you.
Sure. Well, I have a clinic in Southport, so that's where I practice from. Just yeah, behind Ferry, well, opposite Ferry Road. Um, you can find me on Instagram. So I have Paige Waters Acupuncture Instagram page. I have a website that's got heaps of information that I try and update as often as I can. But that's at www.paigewatersacupuncture.com.au. And email is probably the best way if you have any questions.
Mm.
Yeah, I can, because based on the question, we can organise an appointment to have a chat, or if it's something simple I can reply to, that's probably the best way.
Yeah, and people can find you in our directory as well, right? Gold
Of
Coast Wellness
course, I did forget that. Yes, of
platform.
course.
And yes, your information is there too. And
Yes, yeah.
people can go there and, if they can't reach out to you, they can always connect with me and, hey, I need information about Paige. And so I
Sure,
would love to pass it over.
sure.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, I think we're almost coming to the end, and
Yes.
so if anyone is not feeling comfortable to comment or ask question here, please send the comment through, direct
Yeah.
message in Instagram or email, like Paige has informed earlier. And yeah, I think thank you so much, Paige, for being here, and yeah, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you more and all this amazing information that you have given to our community today, and jam-packed.
Yeah, I know we
with,
did fit a lot in. Thank you for your good
with
questions.
yeah, we had to fit in a lot of questions
Yeah.
answers in the same time, but if anyone would like to know more in thorough and detailed manner, you can always connect with Paige or through me, or so yeah.
So good.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being here, and thank you, Paige. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, you
Bye.
too. Bye.